what it means. It means that we as a society have agreed to hold on to authority for ourselves, right? And to make the state, and to make the state agencies and the state agents prove to us why they're going to do whatever it is, why they're going to exercise their power, right? And that's important. That's a big deal. That's not the case everywhere. You know, the whole USA, greatest country on earth, red, white, and blue. I mean, that's one of the reasons that it matters. And the only way it's going to happen in your life, I mean, I would imagine, but I should say, the most common way you're going to experience that in your life is an interaction with a local police officer. Chances are. I had a law professor who used to, he had a little laminated pocket, a copy of the Constitution he kept in his car. He was kind of a jerk. And when he got pulled over, like, he would just pull it out and go, no. Can you imagine? Again, I don't suggest doing that, but it's a valid position to take. I guess my take home would simply be, in the moment, do your best not to be intimidated, to recognize that in the eyes of the Constitution, you stand on equal footing.
But see, I know one instance I didn't comply, and when I went, I've never been charged. I haven't been charged, and I had one time I just said I'm not gonna physically stop from doing anything. I'm just not gonna comply, and they still busted me, booked me, and when I went to court, I was like, he resisted arrest.
Well,
but it's a good thing. It's a good thing I had a good lawyer, but.
I mean, I can't say that, there aren't situations where a cop might be dishonest or, tell the story in his own way.
But like, see, that scares people. Like, I don't want to go through that process again.
Yeah, I know you don't, and that's exactly right. And that's my point. It is scary. It's a scary system. It's, you guys talk about structural power. Like, the cops have all this structural power. They can do whatever they want, and it's scary. But everybody's got to recognize, or it's healthier if every citizen recognizes that they have certain authorities and they can stand on them. You didn't say anything, right?
No, I just said I want to speak to my lawyer, and I just shut up. And they would tell me, spread your legs or empty your pocket. I just would stand.
They would have said they were doing custodial stuff, but did anything happen? You all walked away, as it were.
No, I just stood there, and then they just cuffed me, put me in the car.
Well, I assume, given that I'm not trying to interrogate you, find out what happened to you, but I would assume, given that you were actually arrested, that there was something going on, that they were at least able to suggest, well, this individual was committing a crime. True or not?
Yeah.
I just about the situation. I wasn't there.
Whatever.
And again, listen, obviously if you're committing a crime and you get stopped, that could be a problem, right? So my hypotheticals, I'm assuming that you're not committing a federal offense. Yeah, I've covered everything about that. Any other questions about the swoop race cases? Is this applicable? Is this helping at all? I don't want to waste anyone's time. Are you okay with this? All right. I promise I will not go 90 minutes, because that's how long the rest is, right? Yeah, we'll not go 90 minutes. Oh, we may go 90 minutes. All right, SB 1070. So SB 1070 is a law that just got passed in Arizona. It was recently enjoined by a federal court in Arizona. And what SB 1070 says is that local police have not even the right, they have the obligation to check an individual's immigration status in the context of a lawful stop, detention, or arrest. So what does that mean? That means if you're in Arizona and you get stopped by a cop rightfully, going away from my holier than now hypotheticals, you actually do get stopped, and the officer has reasonable, articulate suspicion, particularized to you as to why he's stopping you, so he can stop you. In Arizona, local police now have the obligation to evaluate your immigration status, right? And depending on who you ask, that means two different things. If you ask a police officer in the state of Arizona, that means that he has to find separate, reasonable, articulable suspicion, not based on race, color, or ethnicity, as to why you might be here illegal. And if you ask anyone else, it means they see if you're brown and Mexican, right? And, take that for what you will. It's obviously hugely controversial. It's the only state right now that obligates police officers. There are other states where, I think they're allowed to ask immigration questions, but in Arizona, they have to do it. They have to do it. And I don't know, is anybody from Arizona? I didn't hear any Arizonas. No Arizonas in the room? All right, well, my impression from litigating in Arizona is that immigration is a very, very serious issue in that state, and people are really pissed off about it. And this statute arose from this guy named Russell Pierce, and he's a legislator for the state of Arizona. And there's all these pictures of him with these, and this is not a lie, this is true, on the internet of him with these right-wing neo-Nazi groups. And his response is, well, I don't know who they were at the time. I'm just saying the origin of the law is not the purest. So, lawsuits. Obviously, when something like this happens, this is what we do, right? Civil litigation, this is what we do. And a lot of organizations brought lawsuits against SB 1070. And I am not going to bore you with the procedural or structural reasons that people criticize SB 1070. I'll just talk about what our lawsuit is about. And our lawsuit, which is on behalf of the League of League of United Latin American Citizens. LULAC, have you heard of LULAC? Are they here? Feel like a LULAC group on campus? No? No. All right. Anywho, and our point is simply this, and this is what the point that we talk about in the amicus brief for the Ninth Circuit. It's that immigration is really hard. It's a hard area of the law, and the answers are not easy. And the way that SB 1070 is set up is the following. There are basically two types of people, well, three types of people in Arizona, right? For SB 1070, there's U.S. citizens in Arizona, awesome. There's people like yourself who are here legally from another country, awesome. And illegals, bad, get them out, right? And our whole point is that that's not the reality of immigration law. That's not the way the system works. That there are many people in Arizona who are there with, their presence is known to the federal government. Doesn't mean they're there legally in the sort of technical term. And certainly not in a manner that you could look them all up on a computer and say, oh, here we go. Ben Harrington Gilmore, he's here, he got his visa, boom, great. But they're here with their presence is authorized by the federal government, but if you were to stop them and say, what's your status, they couldn't explain it. And so they'd be arrested and taken off. And our whole point is, given that, you're going to end up with a situation where individuals are going to be arrested regularly improperly. And for that reason alone, this law is ridiculous. And the guy that I talked about earlier, the guy from Iran, like he's a perfect example. He was here, right? Married U.S. citizen. Case was denied. So for 8 months, he was here without status. Had he been in Arizona and he had been detained, and they would have said, who are you? Oh, you're here. Here's my thing where they deny my visa. They look him on the computer. Denied. Visa denied. I got it right here. This guy. Get him out. And he's brown. Get him out. Right? But then we filed this brief. And the government said, oh my God. Right, we're totally screwed up. You're totally right. He's totally here authorized, and they revoked his denial. So, I mean, and that's not uncommon. Like, again, because immigration's really hard, and people get denied for odd, silly reasons. I represent a woman who, she lives in Simi Valley, and she's, again, this is the same story, right? She's got U.S. citizen husband, U.S. citizen parents, 3 U.S. citizen children. And she was trying to cross the border illegally, and she had a U.S. passport. And the officer who stopped her at the border, as they're right to do, said, is this your passport? And she literally said, she goes, yes. And then she immediately started crying and said, no, it's not mine. And they kicked her out, right? Everything that's happened so far, we're fine with. And he put on the paper that she made a false claim of U.S. citizenship. And at that point, by the nature of the law, she can never be admitted to the country. Now that has nothing to do with SB 1070, but I do think that type of result is horrifically draconian and just a little absurd. But yeah, I'm a liberal. There are, so in Arizona, you've got people who claim asylum. You get off the plane, you come from some horrific country that I won't mention, and you say, I want asylum. If I go back to my country, because of who I am as an individual, the group that I belong to, I will be killed. The government they're obligated to let you stay. They have to let you stay until they process your asylum case. They don't give you a card saying, Chris claims asylum at the airport, so don't arrest him. You know what I mean? And that's all that this is. It's raising that point over and over and over again, that there are so many reasons why individuals are here, known to the federal government, allowed to enter the United States, but haven't been given any sort of status. And to allow SB 1070 to proceed, it's just begging for a problem. There are, like I said, and there are many other reasons why people have brought lawsuits against SB 1070, but that's ours. Any questions about that? Yes?
I was wondering what the defense is that it's not racial profiling. I mean, what would be a legitimate way to evaluate someone's status?
I just watched their training video today.